Just about every step of the way to preparing this video said, stop, don't do it, don't make this video, it's the wrong video to make. For example, I didn't even realize the Kevin Durant 14s had dropped months ago. They passed me by, which is bad news when you're doing sneaker videos every single day for YouTube. But that's a sign. I was like looking at these thinking, oh, Kevin Durant 14s have dropped, got into them. It's like, well, it's actually the 10th colorway in the line. And I should have just stopped there. But no, I was like, no, I'm going to keep on going. And then I read about them, that people were saying they got a lukewarm response. It's not a great shoe. It's not a shoe that people are all that interested in. Again, should have stopped right there. But it's just, I don't know, I'm a glutton for punishment. I like to take the hard road, the road not traveled and all that stuff, you know, Robert Frost's poem, is it? And it's just, I don't know, I like a challenge, let's just put it that way. And I'm happy I did, to be honest. I really am happy I did, because there's stuff in this shoe that's actually really worth liking, getting into, enjoying, especially, basically, it makes basketball accessible to a lot more people than the Jordan lines do, or the LeBron lines do, where they go for like $200, $250 a pop, which is, you know, it's not everybody's going to be able to afford that, especially just to play some ball in. You know, maybe if it's your fashion shoe, your go-to Saturday night shoe, I get that. But when it's actually coming down to playing ball, you want to have shoes that are affordable and can be worn down and used and then traded out for a newer pair. And when it comes down to that, that's what the Kevin Durants do. They make it an affordable sport for more people out there than, say, the Jordan or the LeBron lines. And for that alone, it's worth supporting. And for that alone, it's worth getting into. And then you get into it, and there are some interesting things on the shoe. There are some odd things on the shoe as well, especially the swoosh. Just, I don't know, it doesn't make much sense to me at all. And then there's a huge question mark about the medial side where the strap comes round, and we'll get into all that. But for now, let's just try and get the name right and talk about the upcoming release of the Nike Kevin Durant 14 Psychedelic Royal Blue. This is the Tokyo Bara 23 Sneaker Channel. Tokyo Bara 23 Sneaker Channelです。毎日アップするので、毎日見てください。And every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And these are the Psychedelic Royal Blues, and these are the Bread 13s. And what I'm talking about is the last shoe that I reviewed for Kevin Durant, which was the Bread 13s. I think it was the last one. And I actually had to go into my archive of sneaker photos to find out what was the last shoe I did for Kevin Durant. It's been so long since I looked at one of these sneakers. And like I said, even these guys getting released, a big release, you know, a fanfare. It's the 14th shoe in the line as well. There's only been LeBrons and Jordans, I think, that have had more silhouettes behind them. I might be wrong in that, but I don't think I am. And so it's, you know, it should be a big shoe, and still it passed me by. And I apologize to that, you know, for the basketball fans out there, Kevin Durant fans out there who are like, come on, you should have seen these coming. I probably should have. And another thing, quick thing, we look at the strap on the side. It's a big deal having the strap on there. A lot of different, you know, sneakers, basketball sneakers have the straps on them there, especially if you think of the Kyrie Irving line, for example. But in the case of the Kevin Durant, I had to research this because one site said the only previous silhouette was the Kevin Durant 7s that had a strap on them, but I was pretty sure the 4s did as well. Did a bit of digging, found some 4s with straps, some 7s with straps. Haven't found any others in the line with straps, so it's a new thing for the last 7 years. You know, we've been laced up without the straps on there and then going back to the straps. And if that was supposed to be a big thing, I don't think it's kind of worked out for two particular reasons. One is because of this side here where it tapers to a sort of thin end to the strap on there, which is fine. And it kind of gives a feel of flying and wings, which I think would be great if it didn't have that swoosh on it. Because that swoosh doesn't look like a swoosh. It's all sort of distorted and out of kind of kilter because it's trying to fit the flow of the line of the strap instead of just going with the standard sort of dimensions of a Nike swoosh. So that's kind of point one for me, that's a little bit disjointed and a little bit out of place, and I think a few people maybe have picked up on that. And yes, like I say, take the swoosh off there and just go with that sort of tapering feel to that strap and you're all good. You know, it gives that feeling of like Pegasus flying through the sky, you know what I'm saying? And then the other side of the strap is equally sort of confusing, and there's two things I want to really look into. One is zoomed in on the green screen. We can see that the strap, when it gets round to that medial side, it actually tapers off into 4, I think, different lines with spacing in there, which I'm sure is great for durability, or not durability, flexibility, and being able to kind of really get it to hug to your foot. If that was one solid piece of rubber on there, it probably wouldn't fit as snugly, but it kind of looks a bit, I don't know, it looks a bit clunky, chunky. And then right below that, I have a question for you out there: is this deliberate or isn't it? And what we're looking at, they look like claw marks. Rawr. Looks like something's clawed away at the rubber on there, and there's like 3 of them, 3 sets of them, one after the other. And I don't know if they're deliberate or not, or if it's just like the wax or whatever it is that adheres the strap to the upper underneath, and it's just showing through the translucence. So is it deliberate? Is it a design thing, or is it just a sort of echo of the quality of the shoes? I don't know. You can tell us all in the comments down below. Not too far to go from there and up onto the tongues and the insole. Just have a quick peek in there, and we see the standard kind of Kevin Durant branding, which is to have a lowercase k and a lowercase d instead of capital K and capital D, which you see on the tongues, and you also see when you push back into the insole and get that there as well. And then it's equally not too far to go round to the back and have a look at the heels, where you can see this really neat, layered, almost quilted effect of sail colour. Stands in total contrast to the rest of the upper. The rest of the upper is psychedelic wild, and then these heels are just a single tone, and it's not even white, which pops a bit more than sail, because this has got a little bit of sort of subtlety about it, and then that kind of rippled effect that runs up the back of the heel here is a really nice touch on the shoe, and it does, like I say, stand in contrast to this, which is the upper on there, and it reminded me very much of the LeBron 17s, and the LeBron 17s, the upper, from afar, it did seem to be kind of textured, but when you actually got them in hands, that was really, really solid. I was really surprised to have them in hand and see how solid it is, something coating that texture, and I think it's something like battle knit it's called, and I got a sense of that on these guys. But then when we zoomed in on the toe here, which you can see zoomed up here especially, I think, is it a kind of opal colour, a sort of I don't know what you go with. It's there's a word on the tip of my tongue. It's like it's not creamy. I can't remember. Teal, maybe, that kind of off blue, light blue, aqua blue, maybe aquamarine blue. But anyway, whatever that blue bit is on the tongue, it kind of reveals the uppers to be a little bit more fabric, a little bit more textured than the LeBron 17s were, which were very solid and kind of encased and enclosed. So, but it is that upper that is kind of the main signature of this particular iteration of these shoes. A wild psychedelic upper with tons of detailing going on in there and tons of different feels to the upper. And then the last 2 things I guess to get into is, I guess, it's the midsole. I'm not a huge fan of this lateral side. Is it zoom air unit on the side of these guys? It kind of looks like an elongated mouth. You know what I mean? On the side of this shoe, you got this like long mouth on the side there, and it just sort of, I don't know, it's kind of clunky to me. It probably has some kind of technical design feature that is great for, you know, getting a boost when you're going shooting hoops and stuff like that, but it just looks kind of funky and clunky to me. And then on the outsole, if we roll it around and have a look at that, a very kind of simple outsole. It reminded me of like a computer motherboard, you know, where all the chips and the microchips and resistors and all that are. The way the lines kind of flow together, but it's got a certain kind of a square feel instead of a wavy feel. If you think of LeBron 17 outsoles, for example, that waviness is gone. It's very square and 90-degree kind of angles, and that feeling of computer technology, a very sort of futuristic look at computer technology, but it feels like what you would imagine the future to hold when you're in the 80s. Not when now it's all about like virtual technology and stuff like that. But this outsole, if it does look like computer technology, it looks like what somebody in the 80s would have imagined the future for computers were. So anyway, all in all, interesting shoe. There's plenty in there that's kind of cool. The detail and the colouring is really neat on this. I love the psychedelic feel to them. But I think the bottom line, it comes in the price point because it's so much more affordable than the huge sneakers out there, especially LeBron and Jordan, where they go $200, $250 a pop. But these are much easier to get your hands on, a much more affordable shoe, and that makes them much more accessible to a wider range of people out there. And for that, we have to say thank you, and for that we have to appreciate the Kevin Durants, whether or not we really get the swooshes and the straps and all that kind of stuff. Maybe that's not as important as the fact that it's getting more people out there playing basketball, and that's a good thing. And with that being said, it's time to wrap this one up and just finish up another video for the day. So getting that daily content churning out, keeping you guys up to date with the latest sneaker releases and sneaker news. These guys I should have said upcoming on June the 4th. And we've got a few sort of June videos backed up at the channel right now. The Vapor Max 2021 Triple Blacks, for example. And I think there's a Instapump Fury Reebok Ghostbusters as well in there, and other things too. So stuff to look forward to. Hopefully you're appreciating the content, but all that's left for me to do is thank you for checking out that content, and I'll say what I say at the end of every single video, which is I do this every single day, and that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.